Hi, this is Kerry Artak with Wicked Stocks, bringing you your daily NVIDIA report for Thursday, April 18th, 2024. Let's start with the charts. Take a look at the charts. I'm going to just jump right to this daily chart because it does present kind of a big picture view of this channel structure. The same structure is found on the weekly chart. For instance, 826.07 is really 831.08. I've reduced it to a minor point. I really think 826.07 is the pivot point as we move through the rest of April. We can bottom out here. We did so about a week ago, and above which 957.98 remains a 2 to 3 week likelihood. 959.07 is, by the way, the same structure on the weekly chart. In fact, I can show that here, the same structure. This chart goes back some 5 years. You can see the buy signal that occurred May of last year when we closed above this long-term channel top. This was all presented in the wickedstocks.com daily stock or the weekly stock picks. We put out 2 stock picks a week. This is before, of course, we were doing daily NVIDIA analysis. It just started this week, actually. But we've done a series of NVIDIA stock picks over the last year. And so here we are. That is the big picture. 831.08, 951.07 on the daily chart, 826.07, 957.98. Now, if we happen to break 826.07 today, I'll just give you the heads up that I do think that this channel bottom that we find at 799.19 is in reach. And if we close today below 826.07, this full channel extension, I've used this as a targeting mechanism for years. It works well in the commodity markets, works well in the stock markets. So if we close today below 826.07, I do see 694.42 as a likely 2 to 3 week objective. And that is the beginning of a range down to 664.92. 664.92, I'll take you back to that weekly chart, is what is at 665.15 on the weekly chart. This is a full channel extension. This is another classic example that when we closed above this channel almost a year ago, May of last year, above the 405.20 formation, our objective was the full channel extension. You take the channel that we are trading inside of and you flip it on its head to the upside, the same distance. You can see that it didn't hold buying, but it certainly holds selling on a retracement several weeks after closing above this structure. And so it is not the it is not a classic line study, but I do think when you combine 665.15, 664.92 on the daily chart with the 694.42 full channel extension to the downside, this is going to be a meaningful test. This is going to be a meaningful support area. I do think closing below 826.07, you can anticipate the 664.92 to 694.42 region as a 2 to 3 week objective. And once again, for today, I've got 799.19, a descending channel bottom over the last several weeks. Meaningful support in its own right, at least for the day. But closing below 826.07, I don't think there's a good reason to be long NVIDIA as we move through the rest of April. I do think if you've been bottom picking this area like earlier last week, you know that long position should be liquidated. In fact, you should consider going short, playing the short side, reversing. And that could mean, for instance, either being short the stock outright or reaching for 665, 695 strike out of the money puts that don't expire. This is a 2 to 3 week play. I would go 2 to 3 months out, a couple of months out on that expiration price. Now, on the way down, I mentioned 799.19. Can contain daily selling pressures. And I will say that closing below 799.19 is a sign of secondary weakness. In other words, it really sort of underscores or confirms the sell signal below 826.07. So if you go short below 826.07 and then we then close below 799.19, a sigh of relief on that short position as 694.42 is right around the corner within 1 to 2 weeks, I think, of closing below 799.19. Until all that, 826.07 is still a decent support area for day traders, for 3 to 5 day swing traders. Back to, let's go into, this is a volatile stock, obviously. So here's your 826.07. If we test it today, this 876.45 drops even lower. But for right now, if we've got an unchanged open or even a slightly lower trade, we don't test 826.07. 876.45 is a resistance level that can contain daily buying pressures. Just a short-term channel top over the last several days can contain daily buying pressures. And if we close above it, you can see the up pivot here. That does pivot us up through the rest of the week, which isn't saying much, but it is an upward pivot point nonetheless. Closing above 876.45, we've got a good low for the week. We should then test 919.08 within 1 to 2 days. 919.08, still a valid upside 5/8 Fibonacci from the March high against that move low that was put out about a week and a half ago. And so it is a bit stair-step to the upside, but closing above 876.45 is a pretty decent go with buy signal. And there is the possibility then by the end of next week, we actually could rally all the way up to 957.98, which is considered a 2 to 3 week likelihood anyway, as I said earlier, above 826.07. Now, we do have that speed line that I've been mentioning now for the last, week. We did close below it. That's 846.13. That descending 1/3 speed line actually performed pretty well until yesterday. And so it is a soft pivot point for the day, can contain intraday buying pressures, assuming we open below it. And below 846.13, 826.07 is likely today. If we push or open today above 846.13, that short-term channel top at 876.45 is in reach, where a daily high can be placed. That's a solid day trade level for day traders, as is 826.07. 826.07 is also a 3 to 5 day swing trade bottom picking territory and a 2 to 3 week swing trade bottom picking territory. I'll say that if we test 826.07, we could perhaps within 3 to 5 days or by the end of next week reach 919.08, and over the next 2 to 3 weeks 957.98. Once again, closing today above 876.45, that's an aggressive buy signal. Tomorrow we could reach 919.08, and by the end of next week, 957.08. Keep an eye on that upward pivot point. That means something. It means that momentum has reversed, that the weakness that we've seen over the last few days has neutralized, and that should invite buying. 919.08 likely, possibly tomorrow, Friday, and by the end of next week, 957.98. 957.98 is a meaningful resistance area that can absorb buying on a weekly basis, and from there we could fall away perhaps into May trade. Of course, it would be a settlement above 957.98 that would signal meaningful bullish continuation. There is a rising channel top that I've been illustrated, but I've taken it off today because we really need to see what the low is before we can commit to it. But it is, I actually forget, I think it's in the low 1100 area. It is a trend line off these lows, projecting this, it's in the low 1100 area, but we'll be showing that, of course, once we come off, if we come off 826.07. If we close below 826.07, it's a bit of a moot point, as I would anticipate then, once again, this 694, this is a better image here, 694.42 down to 664.92. So once again, closing below 826.07, no good reason to be long NVIDIA as we move through the rest of April. You want to play the short side into the 660s, 690s, this area narrowing daily and able to contain at least weekly, if not monthly selling pressures when tested. I'm going to leave it at that. Please click like, share, subscribe. Check out wickedstocks.com. If you're looking for that Apple analysis, it's waiting for you at wickedstocks.com. Just requires a subscription. You get a 5-day free trial up front. I'll be back tomorrow with Friday's NVIDIA report. You have a great day.